Hey there, curious minds. Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take a compelling piece of information and really try to unpack it for you. Today, we're diving into a headline that, well, it really packs a punch. It's making a pretty provocative claim about a major American industry and, its future. Our source material for this deep dive is an assertion that's titled U.S. Steel's Destiny, Trump's Deregulatory Gambit. And then goes on to state quite explicitly why U.S. Steel's future hinges on Trump's deregulatory push. Now, our mission here isn't to get into the politics of it or to say if the claim is right or wrong. Instead, we want to dissect this really powerful statement. What is this headline actually saying about U.S. Steel? What assumptions is it asking you to make? And how does it frame that whole complex relationship between an industry and government policy?
Yeah, it's quite striking how much weight is packed into such a short statement. The source just immediately lays out this huge dependency, a direct line, it seems, between the actual destiny of U.S. Steel and this specific political gambit. So our goal today is really to peel back the layers of that language, to understand the nuances in each term and figure out what it's truly trying to convey about U.S. Steel's future, at least according to this source. It's about giving you, the listener, the tools to critically look at these kinds of strong claims and really grasp the full picture of what's being argued.
Exactly. Because understanding why a source makes such a definitive statement, that a company's whole future hinges on one political action, that helps all of us become more informed readers, more critical thinkers. So let's dive right into the core parts of this statement and see what insights we can pull out. Okay, first up, U.S. Steel's destiny. Destiny. That's a really loaded word, isn't it? It suggests something, almost faded, a grand, maybe even unavoidable direction for things. When we talk about the destiny of a massive company like U.S. Steel, this is a name linked with American industry for over a century. What does that imply? It's more than just quarterly earnings, right? Why use that word?
That's a really crucial place to start. Using destiny definitely lifts the conversation way beyond typical business cycles or, minor operational tweaks. It suggests a critical moment, a crossroads maybe, where the fundamental nature, maybe even the continued existence of U.S. Steel is sort of hanging in the balance. Think about it. This company was founded by giants like Carnegie and J.P. Morgan way back in 1901. At one point, it made something like 2/3 of all American steel. Huge role in the world wars. So using destiny now, it's not a casual choice. It suggests a really pivotal moment, one that could set its course for generations. And U.S. Steel has faced challenges before, right? Foreign competition, the rise of more efficient mini mills, dealing with environmental rules, legacy costs like pensions. So to talk about its destiny today suggests it might be facing a kind of existential challenge, not just another tough quarter.
Right. So it's framing it not just as a temporary dip, but as potentially a fundamental shift, maybe even a fight just to survive. That kind of language really shapes how you perceive the stakes. And given the history and size of U.S. Steel talking about its destiny, that grabs your attention immediately. It makes you wonder about the deep pressures that might be pushing it towards such a critical point.
Exactly. It encourages you, the reader or listener, to see the situation not just as, a temporary boom or bust, but as something much more profound. It signals that the potential outcomes are seen as really long-lasting, maybe irreversible, and deeply significant, not just for the company, but maybe even for the wider idea of American industry it represents. For years, U.S. Steel has been grappling with global overcapacity, especially from China, and the higher costs of its older integrated mills compared to the newer electric arc furnaces. These are the kinds of deep-seated structural issues that might make destiny feel like the right frame for the discussion.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now let's switch gears to the other half of that statement. Trump's deregulatory gambit. This is where it gets really interesting. Two strong terms here. First, deregulatory. For a huge industrial player like U.S. Steel, what kinds of regulations are we actually talking about? What specific areas might deregulatory efforts target? And then gambit, that's not just policy, is it? That sounds like a calculated move, a strategy.
Right. When we talk deregulatory for heavy industry, it's usually not about small stuff. Generally, it means reducing or removing government rules that really affect costs, how competitive they are, investment decisions. For U.S. Steel, this could cover several big areas. Environmental regulations are definitely one. Think about EPA rules on air emissions from blast furnaces or rules about water discharge under the Clean Water Act, handling hazardous waste. These aren't just paperwork. They often mean huge capital investments, millions of dollars, or they just increase day-to-day operating costs.
Okay, so environment is a big one. What else?
Then you've got labor laws. These cover everything from union negotiations and wages to workplace safety rules from OSHA. Changes there can directly impact how flexible they are with staffing and overall labor costs, which are significant for a big manufacturer.
Sure.
And finally, maybe the most direct one for steel, trade policies. Remember the Section 232 tariffs on steel and aluminum imports under the last Trump administration? That was a major move meant to shield domestic producers from foreign competition. Kind of an inverse deregulation, maybe, affecting market access. But the goal was to ease pressure on the domestic industry from global oversupply. So the basic idea is to lessen the regulatory load on businesses, hoping it spurs growth or cuts costs, especially in an industry seen as, strategically important.
Got it. So it's not just cutting red tape. It could actually reshape their cost structure and how they compete.
Yeah.
And then the word gambit